Our next speaker is a great supporter of the European Summit and also of our work at AMEC on the Barcelona Principles. And we're delighted that Andre Manning could be with us. Andre is Vice President and Global Head of External Communications for Royal Philips Electronics. And he's going to be talking to us on analytics and ROI, why they are business critical.
I'm mic'd here, eh? Not that one. Okay. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Rebecca. It was a nice presentation on, I think, with one of the key challenges that we're still facing, find the magic bullet between PR measurement and sales. We haven't found that silver bullet, and I'm happy that Microsoft is in the same league. I'm not going to tell you about a Philips system. I'm going to share some examples from other companies, and the main message that I want to deliver is to you as partners for the businesses is how to speak the same language for business people, for my colleagues, for my communications colleagues, to bridge the gap between the marketing people, the business people, and the communications people, because I think that is, at the end, what it is about. It is not about an isolated function that communications does some nice analytics. No, it's all about integrating what we do, linking it together, what the other functions, the important functions in the organizations do. And I will shine some light on some examples from other companies. I will also tell you that we're not there yet, but I would like to provide you with some thoughts as a call for action to find that common language and to find that common ground to operate together. I think I have 18 minutes and then we'll do some Q&A. There's only one question I'm not going to answer, and it is why the Dutch lost to Germany yesterday. Because we're still suffering from that. Okay. Analytics and the return on investment, why they are business critical. Just to summarize, I think what has been happening in the communications profession in the last 10 years. And it's always difficult to summarize it on one slide, but I think this captures it quite well. It is where it all comes together from outputs to outcomes, where the PR, it's not only about PR, public relations, it's about public relationships. It's about engaging. It's about managing the brand. It's about dialogue versus monologue. I think the times, and I think all of the conference that I've attended, the times of monologue, of broadcasting have been over. We as communicators, together with the marketeers, together with the whole organization, the whole ecosystem of our landscape has completely changed. We're not the center of the universe anymore. No, the center of the universe are all of us here in the room, all the individuals. And as an organization, you can be lucky if you're part of the ecosystem of an individual. So that's a dialogue-based, dialogue-driven kind of operating way of working, which is completely different from the past. And we have to adjust to it, and together with you, we have to adjust to that. These slides I borrowed from Cindy from FedEx. I haven't seen her in the room yet, but I think this covers it quite well. Brand and reputation should go hand in hand. Not operate isolated, no. Where the communications director used to focus on the reputation of the company, where the marketeer used to focus on the brand, no, they should work hand in hand. What a company sells and what a company stands for adds up to four things. It's purchase, it's investment, it's being loyal, and it's recommendation. And for those who have been in a workshop that I did together with FedEx, Clorox, and David yesterday, we use a methodology which is called NPS, which is all about recommendation, it's about attitude, it's about behavior. That is for us a key metric, and I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. It's about attitude, it's about recommendation, and it's where the brand and the reputation come together. Because it used to be different, and I think the yin and the yang symbolize it perfectly. The chief communications officer and the chief marketing officer operate in the same field. I can speak from experience. I've been leading the global marketing and communications function within Philips for 1 year. Then I go back to what I'm really good at is communications, I think. I saw that we do a lot of things in the marketing and in the communications function that did not fully cooperate together. And I think what I saw there is there's a lot of opportunity to bring the two functions and to bring the metrics of the two functions together, because we can learn from each other and we can benefit from each other's metrics. PR analytics defined. Just if you go through the definition, I think there's 4 elements of it. Of course, the key element of PR analytics, why it is so important, it's to provide an analytics model to PR professionals and use the same kind of methodology as the CMOs in the company. And you, who support my communications colleagues, you should provide my communications colleagues with the right ammunition to have the right discussion and the right wording in their discussions with business professionals, because they talk about ROI. When I talk to my business leaders, they ask me simply, the euro that I invest in you, what will be the outcome of that? And I think these kind of discussions should take place much more. It should not be about reflecting on the past, output-oriented. No, it should be looking forward, outcome-oriented. You have your analytics, what are you going to do with that? And how will it impact and how will it influence the way forward? How will it adjust communications efforts? How will it change the way you look at your communications campaigns? It provides the communications professionals a proof of the impact of earned media through analytics and then through an analysis. And it will give the communication professional a good methodology for return on investment. These are the methods that will make life in the business world much more comfortable. It's not all rosy and shiny, because we also have some challenges. Because not everything can be tracked and not everything can be captured in analytics. Because the brand equity of a company, and I can speak for myself, the brand equity of Philips is comprised of all kind of parts, sometimes intangible parts you cannot influence too much. The indirect association between PR and sales, Rebecca talked already about it. I think I heard more presenters talking about it. I will share some examples on some links between PR and sales, but I'm always hesitant on a group level to link my communications efforts to an increase or, in the worst case, a decrease of sales. It's also about understanding the incremental results. It's also about making the right choices in an industry that is probably overwhelmed by return on investment metrics. I think if you attend a full 2.5 days and if you walk around during lunchtime and other breaks, there's a lot of metrics going on and how to pick the right metrics. And I think the Barcelona efforts have been great in that, and we should build upon that. I think determining as an industry what are the right metrics will make your life easier, will make my life easier. And we need to show the return on investment for a company of communications across a wide range of financial and non-financial indicators, such as employee retention. I think you can speak for yourself, or you can read for yourself, calls to customer, and then we end with customer satisfaction and message recall. These should be included as well, if possible. Have we already found a magic system for that? No, not yet. Should we? I think yes, because communications and marketing will be much more integrated. And think about, I think we talk a lot about metrics for external communications, but my colleague from internal communication, he also uses metrics like employee engagement. What is the link between employee engagement and media coverage? What is the link between the overall reputation of the company and employee engagement? These kind of things. I think we're still in the first stage of linking all these kind of things together. Just to recap, I think everybody knows, at least for external, what we have done in the last 10 years, 12 years, what we will have to do in the next years. I'm glad, and hopefully everybody agrees on that the clip books are behind us. When I started, indeed, we still found the clipping books in the drawers. We were sometimes very proud to walk around on the corridor with those clipping books, but the return on investment was very low. In the meantime, I think all of us are using online portals, and I think the next step will be how to link it to things like, and I think especially for those who work in a organization like mine, but I think it will also be valid for non-profit organizations, how to link it to your business objectives and not only to sales, because that would limit, I think, the industry. The journey of measurement can also be demonstrated by this, where I think when you go from left to right, it's about good, better, best. It was outputs, outcomes to business results. I think that's the ultimate goal. Does that mean that we should stop with outputs? No, not at all. Because I think the communication function is still benefiting from demonstrating the results or the outputs. Should we focus on outcomes alone? No. Should we focus on business results alone? No. I think the silver bullet, if you can talk about silver bullet, might be the combination of the three of them in a very tangible, efficient, effective way. I already mentioned an exercise we did with our external media coverage. We linked it to a marketing metric that is widely used within the company. I asked yesterday the question what NPS stands for. There was one gentleman who knew that it stands for Net Promoter Score. And Net Promoter Score is basically one question: would you recommend this company, this product, or this person to someone else? You can score between a 0 and a 10. If you score between a 0 and a 4, the person is seen as a detractor. If you score between a 4 and an 8, you're seen as neutral. So the only interesting scores are a 9 and a 10. That is how the marketing function. That is what the marketing function is using as their metrics, NPS. Very simple. If you want to read it in more detail, there's a book from Fred Reicholt who explains NPS in much more detail. But what we have done in our communications measurement is link our metrics to the marketing metrics. And I made myself quite popular with that because I demonstrated that I understood the metrics of the marketing function. Additional to that, we have some other marketing surveys going on where we ask customers, potential customers, also about their satisfaction with the company. And the trick is now making the connections. Barry, you will hand out all the slides. Eh? They can be found. Okay, so I don't have to list everything what's on the slide. What we have done is I saw 4 or 5 kind of metrics within the organization, mainly in the marketing function, called GlobeScan, Heartbeat, NPS, employee engagement, and now we're trying to combine all of them and combine at least the outcomes of all the metrics that do exist in the company into one dashboard for the marketing and the communication function that can serve as a dashboard for our executive team. Just an example of GlobeScan, how that works. Also, across the world. I think we're in the same boat as Microsoft. We are, I think, active in close to 100 markets around the world. Of course, we cannot track every market, so we have to make a selection. And here you see an example of how such a globe scan report would look like for different markets. It also gives you the insights about competitors. When Rebecca was telling me about her Prime research and said we don't track competitors, I almost fell into a shock. I thought, gee, that cannot be true. And then you already said in the second sentence, but of course we have a different system that will track our competitors. Because if you only measure yourself, of course, I think everybody would agree on that, it's useless. You also have to track what your main competitors in the industry are doing. And then we come to something which is called market mix modeling, where in the end you come up with a system that you can link your communications efforts, all the communications efforts that exist in your marketing mix to the end result, which are the business results. And then you have to question yourself, you have to ask yourself, what is the impact of all my communications efforts if you go through, if you scan your list of communications activities, what is the impact of all the different activities on your end results? What is the optimal budget for your communications? And can we have a proper discussion on, should we focus more on social media? Should we focus more on traditional media? Should we focus more on earned media, paid media? These kind of discussions should take place. And I'm convinced that we can make some more steps there, because I'm not sure that all of us already are on the same level on having these discussions with the business partners on a regular basis on the ideal communications mix for your company, for a certain product launch, for a certain campaign. And just ask the question outside in, what is the communication tool that has the best and the most impact on the brand or the reputation of the company? I think these are the kind of things that are very useful, and these are the kind of things that we have to challenge ourselves and think outside in. Instead of only delivering a kind of metric, delivering a kind of tool where everybody's looking at, no, use the metrics of all the tools that exist and have the proper discussion. Have a future-focused discussion and not only reviewing or looking back. This is an example of a non-profit organization from the US where they try to link, they compare the effectiveness of different communications tools, communications to the, in this case, the leads generated. So it's direct mail, radio, online, POP H and POP P. And POP H stands for hodgepodge, and POP P stands for, I think, targeted professional communications. So POP is point of purchase, where you see the last two, the difference between the two of them was really targeting with where the P stands for, and the H, where it was really a sort of non-targeted communications tool. And then those people, they did a measurement of the actual leads generated per $1,000 spent on the different communications channels and the total leads generated on an annual basis. I think a very valuable and worthwhile exercise. We are not there yet, I can admit, but I think this company, which was, again, a non-profit organization in the US, they have done this kind of exercise, which I think is a quite valuable exercise. This is another example of a company who did exactly the same, where they put some metrics on the different kind of communications channels and adjusted and made the right choices to change. In conclusion, and this is my plea, again, I started with a plea and I end with a plea. You have a lot of valuable information. You guys work on a lot of interesting tools and metrics. You have the right knowledge. It is the trick now to provide the right knowledge to the communications community, to further professionalize the communications community and provide them with the right tools to bridge the gap, if that gap still exists, between the communications function and the marketing function. Because if we talk about a silver bullet, that might be a kind of silver bullet. Because you guys can help us in providing the valuable assets for the communications professionals. And we have not done that on a consistent basis until now. So this is the time to make that next step. If you talk about media coverage, I think I saw an example already where that's happening. I saw examples in the social media space where it's already happening. But we have to accelerate, we have to step up our efforts. And if this is all happening, and it won't happen overnight, I think my last point, the communications professional, the marketeer, the research analyst, the analytics expert, they have to learn to sit in a room together. It's quite basic. Team up, join efforts, and then we can have an even much bigger impact for you as the research or the analytics expert, for us as communication professional, and at the end, everybody will benefit from it. Thank you, Barry.
Andre, thank you. Thank you. Stay there, Andre. So Andre made 2 pleas. Anyone got a question or a comment based on either of those? Microphone here, please.
Hi there, it's Ben Matthews from eBay again. You talked about NPS, and actually there's been a good debate about NPS already on Twitter around what you were saying. You measure, I presume, the would you recommend score in essence. Do you also measure the have you recommended? So the actual active as opposed to the passive perception measure?
Now, the would you is not meant as a passive thing. So the would you is actually a sort of do you recommend. So it's not a have you recommended. So for instance, what I've done in media measurement, I've also translated it in an NPS. So what I've actually done is, does an article or does a writer recommend our company or not? So not could it be seen as a recommendation? No, that is not interesting. The most interesting thing is, does he recommend or does she recommend our company or the company strategy or the product of a company? So it's the active.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Question at the back, please.
Sorry, it's me again. Mark Westerby, Spectrum Insight. I'm very interested in your point about market mix modelling, which we use quite a lot. The problem is, and I apologise to any PR professionals in the room, but PR people really struggle to understand market mix modelling. And it got to the point where if we're doing work for PR people, we'll often do the analysis in the background, but then actually find a different way of explaining because they just think it's smoke and mirrors. So I think what you're saying is superb, completely agree with you, but how do we get across to the PR industry in general the value of this?
Well, I don't have the answer for that immediately. I think it's not an overnight answer. I think you can help the PR professionals to embrace that kind of thinking. I think the same discussion is valid for AVEs. And I was only 2 days or 3 days ago, I was talking to one of my colleagues in the market who said, I have a problem. My general manager is still interested in AVEs. He wants me to demonstrate the actual dollar value, or in this case, the euro value of that certain article. And then I said, you have to be brave. You have to have a different discussion. Because, of course, you can open up the drawer and put an AV label on an article. I said, you have to educate him. I said, the same kind of journey that I demonstrated on the slide, it's not about output anymore, it's about outcome. What does an actual article do for us? And that is a completely different discussion than putting a 10,000, 100,000 or 1 million euro label on it. For me, that's not interesting. It's only a number.
I agree with you.
But I want to demonstrate that I still have those conversations. We introduced our system 3 years ago. I still have those conversations, which is not bad, because I believe that this is something that does not happen in 1 week or not even in 1 year. So my question to you would be, if you understand market mix modeling much better than your PR counterpart in an organization, I think you have a unique opportunity to help somebody and show and demonstrate and provide him or her with the tools to have that conversation. I think it also lifts up your own function from being a provider of a service to a consultant on how to have more impact as a function. So, but I agree, we're not there yet. Absolutely.
We're hard on time, but we'll come down for a quick question, is it, Phil?
Hi, Philip Shardrake. I totally agree with the sentiment in terms of moving towards business objectives. But I got the feeling that the presentation was trying to almost subsume PR as a marketing discipline focused on sales as the ultimate business objective. Good.
No.
Excellent. Well, take Net Promoter Score, for example. That's a symmetric score. That's how are people promoting us, not how well we act at getting the message back into the organisation, which is the symmetric excellence role of public relations.
What I did not demonstrate here is that one of my metrics is NPS is not an actual score of an increase of sales. It's about the reputation of the company. I work on a group level, so I have to deal with quarterly results, etc., which has nothing to do with sales in the end. Yeah, it's an outcome of indeed sales, but what I wanted to say is, how can you link, and I used an example as sales of that, and I think we used the example of certain campaigns, how can you link PR metrics to business objectives, to business metrics? And one of the business metrics, for instance, if we would introduce a new shaver, it could be interesting to see what is the actual increase of sales when you do a certain campaign, a certain communications campaign. So it's a very tangible business objective and a very tangible communications objective. The overall reputation of the company, gee, sales is only one part of it. Can I influence the sales with my communications efforts? I wouldn't dare to say yes. So you're correct. It's not easy to do that. But I think in certain areas of the communications function, especially where it's very close to marketing, it can be done. Yeah.
In bringing this to a close, a few thoughts, linked thoughts occurred to me. Mark talking about, is my mic on, please? Mark Westerby from Spectrum Insight was talking about educating PR professionals. You talked about, Andre, the importance of teaming up.
Yes.
That was a big point you made. And I've got a feeling this afternoon in our big debate, we're going to be hearing from Chris Foster and Grant McLaughlin on how we might take that forward in terms of educating the market. But for now, Andre, fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.